Hey everybody, and welcome back to Blender. In this video we're going to look at creating objects. Before I get started, a huge thank you to everyone for subscribing and hitting that notification icon. That really helps me out. And of course an even bigger thank you to my members and patrons. Your names will be running across the bottom of the screen at the end of the video. So if you recall, in our last video we were adding new objects using the add menu at the top here, and there are a whole load of different things that we can add. Curves, balls, surfaces, etc. So we're just going to go ahead and add something fairly, let's say we'll just go with a torus because they're a little bit complicated but not overly complicated. And before we actually do anything else, what I want you to do is pay attention to this. You'll notice that a little menu down here has appeared called Add Torus, and if you click on that, there's a whole bunch of different options that are going to appear. Now it's very important that if you want to change these properties, you have to do it now, because this only appears the first time you actually create the object. Otherwise you're just going to have to delete the object and start again. That isn't to say that you can't change these properties manually, but it's a lot easier to do it now rather than later. So what you can do is you can increase the radii, so you can increase the major radius like that, increase or decrease the minor radius like so, and then that just increases the object. And what we're looking at the difference between the major radius and the minor radius. The major radius is the radius across the entire object. The minor radius is the radius inside or across this part, like that. You can also change where it's created along the axes like this, up and down. You can even change the rotation if you wanted to, like so. And then once you've done that, you can change the resolution of the object, so you could make it a lot smoother around the major radius, or you can change the number of segments on the minor radius as well. We're just going to keep this fairly basic looking shape so that we can actually see what happens next. So we've got that shape there, and we are going to say we are happy with it. Next thing we can do is we can go into our edit mode, and then we're going to see a whole host of different things happening. And we've got all of these options here along the left hand side that we can play with a bit later on. You can go ahead and memorize what those are. We just expand that there, and then that shows you what each one of these tools is called. We've still got our move, rotate, scale and transform tools there, but we also have a whole bunch of other stuff there that we will learn to play with later on. But first thing to note is that we have 3 different types of selection in edit mode. So a 3D shape is made up of a whole bunch of vertices, or vertex is the singular, so we can select a single vertex. We're in vertex mode, and if we select one, then we get that specific one. And then if we were to use our move tool, we can actually move that vertex around like that. Nice and simple. The next thing is an edge, or a line. We can select a single line, and again we can move that around in 3D space like so. And then the last thing that we can select is a face, also sometimes called a poly. We can select that like so as well, and we can just move the whole thing. Now you'll notice that if I move a face, all 4 lines and all 4 vertices attached to those lines move with the face. So if you're trying to move a lot of things in one go, sometimes using the face select is a best way of doing things. So let's go and add something else to our scene. I'm going to shift right click, going into object mode now. We're going to shift right mouse button, and we're going to move our cursor over here just so that we're a bit further away from these objects. And we're going to go to add, and this time we're going to go into curve, and we're going to add a Bezier curve. And as you can see, it's a line, which doesn't appear to have very much functionality at the moment. But what we can do is we can actually extrude a line into a 3D object, whether it be a plane or something else. So what we can do is we can move that around, and if we go into our edit mode, you can see that actually it's kind of similar to a line in Photoshop. We can actually move the object around, the move tool there. We can manipulate this. Press R, we can rotate it around like that, and then we can create all kinds of different funky shapes like so, and then we can extrude that shape into a surface or a plane, which is, I think you'll find, really quite a handy thing to do when you think about it. So we'll go back into our object mode again, And this time we're going to create a different shape. So using our shift right click, we're going to just pop our cursor over here, like so, and then we're going to go back into object mode and we're going to add another thing. And this time we're going to go with a surface. Let's go with a surface, and we're going to create a NURBS torus. And what you'll notice about this NURBS torus is that this menu here has a lot less information in it. It's still got rotation and location and a radius, but there's no other properties that we can change. And there's a reason for that. If we're going to go into our edit mode again, what you can see, if you recognize these lines, it was the same as the lines that we have in the curve over here. And that is because this shape is made up of a whole bunch of curves. So let's just move ourselves a bit closer there, and we can just use our right mouse button and we can actually select some shapes there, and then we can move them around. And what you can see is we can actually move parts of our torus, and we're basically just moving the lines from which it is extruded, because it's just a bunch of lines that have been extruded into this shape. And that means it's perfectly smooth, so we don't have to worry about a huge bunch of these vertices here. We've just got a nice funky shape over here, and it kind of gives you some interesting options to work with in manipulating the shape as well. Now I'm going to do something even weirder, a little bit funky. I'm just going to move myself around the scene a little bit. I'm going to shift right click to bring my cursor over here, and then I'm going to go back to object mode, and I'm going to, this time I'm going to add a meta ball. I'm just going to add a ball there. And these are really funky. I think you're going to like this a lot. So I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add 2 meta balls like this, and then we can just select one, doesn't matter which one. And then we're going to move it around, and what you're going to see is that it goes like that. And we can just magically like glue them together. It's going to create that shape for us. If we press Shift D, we can duplicate, and we can go like that. And then we can press Shift D again, we can duplicate that, and we can create a really weird ass looking shape. Do it in a different direction, so we can create a really kind of almost biological looking shape just by meshing a load of these together. As you can see, they just kind of splotch together like some kind of, I don't know, slime or poo or whatever floats your boat, really. You can see from the add menu that there's a whole bunch of other objects that you can add. I'd encourage you to just get in there and have a play. There's nothing you can do here that isn't going to you know, mess you up. You can by all means just start a new scene or whatever. Just get in there, have a play, add some objects, manipulate them, play with them, see what you can come up with. Thanks very much for watching this, guys. I hope you found that useful. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can visit the Patreon in the description below, or you can simply join the channel by becoming a member. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next episode. But until then, take damn good care of yourselves, guys, okay? Bye-bye.